From his days as a kid actor, Jay Baruchel has transitioned into breakout roles on TV and in movies. He's produced a successful film franchise about hockey, and even put money to work in a comic book company. And his latest project speaks to his passion for the NHL's Montreal Canadiens. What inspired you to write this book, and to write it from this perspective?
Mainly it was something that is so profoundly, distinctly Canadian in terms of pastime, which is a crowded living room or crowded kitchen or crowded bar, a bunch of friends and strangers huddled together sharing the same experience. And for something that is so Canadian, I felt that it was like articulated pretty poorly. You know, we are well versed in the romance of the sort of backyard pond and, you know, lacing up for the first time and all that stuff. But where's the romance of the fans' experience? You know, because if, you know, not every kid in this country grows up playing hockey, but a bunch of them grow up watching it. And to me, that was my way in. You know, I wasn't skating in the backyard every day or anything like that. But the Habs have been omnipresent my whole life. And so, and it occurred to me that it's an incredibly strange phenomenon to be so profoundly emotionally connected to something over which you exert zero control, and something that like reason and logic constantly tests, you know. And I looked at my bookshelf and saw that that book didn't exist.
I've heard some people say if Drake is this ambassador for the Toronto Raptors, then you've become this ambassador for the Canadiens.
I feel bad for the Habs then. I definitely. It's pretty much me and Viggo Mortensen. Those are the sort of two. So I wish I was. If that is true, I owe a sincere apology to all Habs fans that I'm not more of a global brand.
You've said this before, the fact that you loved film and you loved television, and this was the way to jump into that world. It was less about being passionate about acting.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I was always, acting was a means of being a part of movies, not the other way around, you know. Acting has never been my raison d'etre. Like, I am very, I'm very grateful for the career I've had, and it's a job where less than 20% of actors can feed themselves off of acting, and I've been able to have a career since I was 12, so I am well aware of how fortunate I am. I'm also well aware of the lives it's given my mom, my sister, and myself that we just wouldn't have otherwise had. However, it's never been like the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I sleep. Movies have always been and continue to be. So to me, being on set was always akin to being at film school.
The fact that just being involved with the process of making movies or television shows being your driving force kind of speaks to your own evolution of writing and producing. And speaking of hockey, one of your great passions, this move to a project like Goon. It felt like an evolution for you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's all I've ever wanted to do. You know, I started acting when I was 12, but I was 9 when I told my mom that I wanted to direct movies, you know. And I was started writing around that same time too. And so to have like written a movie that happened and people liked, and then to have gotten to co-write and then direct the sequel was like massive. I could die tomorrow. I could die tomorrow and I'd be very happy with what I've gotten to do with this life.
Technically, you could choose to simply stay on the path of acting, even if there are roles you don't like. But one could make the assumption that because that's the way you're built, you have pursued these other passions of yours,
man.
whether it's producing or writing, or whether it's, you know, becoming the owner of a comic publishing business as well. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate you saying noting that. Yeah, I just like, you know, acting has been an amazing job, but it's never been what I want to do with my life. And I have many other interests, namely movies and comics. And I fell in love with this company called Chapterhouse, based here in Toronto, which is pretty much the biggest Canadian comic book company there is, and doing a uniquely Canadian shared universe of superheroes, which dovetailed perfectly with my patriotism and what I want to do with the rest of my career, which is make Canadian stuff for Canadian kids to dig. And seeing their mission statement in comics was the same as mine in film. It was like, and being a massive lifelong comics fan, it was a no-brainer. I met with them to. They asked to meet me to adapt one of their comics into a movie. That was on a Friday, and then on the Monday I called them back and said, can I buy a piece of the company, because I really think that this is something I want to spend the rest of my life doing.